cool. Yeah, it's got to be very interesting. Seeing what that side is having to deal with, especially it's like what the TikTok fame now.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, let me give you the proper introduction. What up? Hey, it's good to be back. Another episode of To Be Frank with Frank Castillo. Today we're here with Marcellus Wallace. No, Marcel Hamilton. You blew up on TikTok, and then you also do music too, or you also do music. But the TikTok is the thing that blew up, right?
Yeah.
So how did that, like, what, you want to walk me through that? Like, because I'm sure it's got to feel like you're in trouble. Like when you post the video and you see all the numbers, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, oh, God. So it started, I was young. I was probably about like 20, 21 years old. Or even before that, I'd had like a Snapchat, and I would post like these weird videos, or like all the videos that I post on like my socials today, I would post back then when I was younger, like on Snapchat, and all my friends would be like, dude, just like post it. Like just download TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, and just post it. So then I started doing that, and then I didn't blow up until I had my son, Selly, and after I had him, I was working at like this youth care shelter in Seattle, and I was like making these little weird videos in the bathroom, and they were kind of blowing, but they wasn't like hitting. And then remember the iCarly girl? She had that meme that came out and was like, "What's your favorite curse word?"
Oh yeah.
She was like, "Probably fuck."
Yeah.
So they like made a little remix to that, and I made a dance to it.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the dance was like, the caption was like, my baby mom asking me what I want to do after I change the baby or something. I was like, probably fuck. And then I did this little dance, and then I was at like 700 followers, and then I was trying to get to 1,000 so I could go live. And then I woke up that next morning and I was at like 15K.
And how did that feel?
It felt like almost like dreamish.
Yeah.
Like when I was looking at it, I kept like canceling out the app and like reopening the app, thinking like my phone was glitched out or something like that, or just like a mistake. And then after like the 30th time of me like reopening the app, I was like, oh no, this is like real. And then I started to see like all the comments and the people saying like how much they like loved it and stuff like that. And that part was like the most like unrealistic part, because like growing up as like a class clown and like always hearing the teachers like, you can't just be like,
stop that. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah.
And then seeing people like actually like give me credit and saying that like it makes them like their days a little bit easier, like getting that little laugh off or just like that little enjoyment for the second.
Yeah, because there is definitely like, especially with TikTok, especially when it comes to like content, like as like a comic, I look at a lot of that and I'm like, ugh. And then you see some stuff where you're like, this is actually really fucking funny. And this is also very cool because I get lost in it too. And some of the sketches I do see where I'll be like, this is terrible. And then you'll see some sketches where you're like, this is just like, a dude that's with his friends, and this is the funniest shit I've ever seen. This is like, crazy.
You can catch so much like genuine, like funny content on TikTok where it just seems like, no, like me and my homeboys just did that the other day, or something like that, where they can make it seem very relatable. But some of them just. You
had asked about like stand up and stuff. Do you want to get into stand up?
Yeah, I want to get into like stand up really bad. Like my favorite thing about like the TikTok stuff was like I used to go live a lot, and just like being up and like talking in front of people and just like seeing the comments roll in and like the laughing emojis and stuff. I want to experience that like on the stage and hear people like actually laugh. Like,
it's gonna be a little bit, but it'll be a lot of fun. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it is like, did you ever get any hate? Like, was there any people like shitting on you or anything?
No, yeah, definitely. I still get hate. Like,
it's also like hard to hate on a guy that dances. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen other dancers that it's like, all right, you're just like imitating a hydraulic press, which is fine. You know what I mean? But then like I see you and I was like, these are like, you could be a backup dancer. Like you're a legitimate good dancer.
Like when I do the dances, like if I could take it farther, I would want to like do choreographed dances for like music videos. And stuff
absolutely.
Like that, or like shows, or not even just like for hip hop, but like for any type of like interpreted dancing. And
that's also the cool thing is about like, you see a lot of TikTok people where it's like, they blow up and then it's like, all right, how do I make this? What do I do? How do I turn this into something? And you see some people like fizzle out and stuff, but your thing, it's like you're good at dancing. At the base of it, you're fantastic at dancing. And that can lead to other things where it's like you said, like, you could do choreography stuff. Like you can definitely branch out. Like when I see you and I look at that stuff, I don't think of just like, he's just like a guy that's doing funny, goofy dances. Like they are fun, but you can actually see like, you're like good at it.
Yeah.
Like you see other people and you're like, they're bad at it. But that's like,
and it's a big like trend thing on TikTok where like, a dance blows up and then everybody and their mom wants to do that dance, you know. But like with me, like I'll dance to the trendy songs, but 9 times out of 10 I don't want to do the trends. I
Yeah.
don't want to do what people think is popular. I want to dance the way that I want to dance. And
Damn, this is like an
get the
original
love,
TikToker.
you
This
know?
is crazy. I'm getting like, it's like interesting to see like the mindset.
Yeah.
Is there like because it's definitely like this in comedy.
Mhm.
Do you see, are there other like TikTokers and stuff that you're like, ugh, that guy, you know, like,
Yeah.
really? Is
There's
that,
definitely.
because but there's no place to like congregate, right?
Yeah. Like,
Unless there's like a convention.
yeah. And like some, like, you have like certain cliques and stuff
Yeah.
like that, like where they'll do like their little influencer trips, and
Yeah.
like they're not like an official group, but they're
Yeah.
always known to like be together
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And like a lot of like places like red carpet, like not like red carpets, but like premiere events for like movies or like
Mhm.
albums and stuff. We get a lot of invitations because like we go there, make videos
Yeah.
there, and then like blow up or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. You're just dancing on the red carpet in the corner.
Yeah, so like stuff like that, like that's the only really time, like unless you like meet up to collab.
Yeah.
But like TikTok, like the game for TikTok is very like cutthroat. Like it's
Yeah.
like some people are only in it for the views, some people are only in it for the money, some people are only in it for like the clout base for it. Like if you don't align yourself with that niche or like that type of activity they're doing on TikTok, then they they won't even talk to you. They'll be like, nah, you're
Yeah, it feels like also like I don't want like, especially when it comes to like comedy, we've seen a lot of comics blow up on TikTok, and then they get huge followers, and then they go and they do like clubs and stuff, which is fine, but there is this like disconnect between like comics that come up in the clubs and that are good in the clubs, and then comics who blow up on TikTok and then subvert having to go through the system. Then they can just sell out, which is like fine. But then you see those people on like lineups with other comics, and then that's where it kind of comes out in the wash, where it's like, if they're good, then they're good. But if they're bad, then you get to kind of see like, not everyone can follow Bill Burr or Joey Diaz or all these big guys, but some people can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is very interesting to hear about this, especially like the TikTok audiences and stuff, because I feel like the TikTok audiences can be very fickle.
Yes. Like you could be popping one day and like make one mid vid, and it could like take away all that algorithm and take away like, you'll be blowing up, you make one thing that they don't like, and then it's like, okay, bad.
Yeah.
Like, because TikTok only wants to push what people are watching. Like, for the people that are trying to push something, like for me, it was very hard to get on because I wasn't doing the algorithm.
Yeah.
I had to make my own niche of style and dancing on TikTok.
I had to cut my own clips. No, I'm sorry.
But like, other than that, like they just like won't push it.
No,
And
absolutely.
it's like very, very hard to like actually get on.
It's also tough, like just stand up wise in comedy. Like I've seen, because the standards and practices of TikTok, like the rules, like there's certain jokes that I'll put on that just do not like. There's like you're getting zero there because of this content, right?
Yeah.
And then in a way, like there's people who blow up on that, and it's almost like you have to censor yourself. It's not censor yourself. You start to like change the way you write your jokes so they can be popping on these TikTok things, which in a way I think, I don't know if it hurts your comedy, but you are definitely like, you're no longer trying to appease the audience in front of you. You're trying to appease this machine or this audience that's not in front of you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think like the biggest thing is right now, like the view of it, like people like me that's in TikTok, I don't want like, I want to branch out. Like I don't want to be known as a TikToker, you know? And then I see like these other like celebrities or people of higher like clout status and stuff like that have like a whole bunch on TikTok or just like casually like in their life, but not be wanting to push for that TikTok clout, be wanting to like blow up on TikTok, like, but that's not like the end goal.
No.
Like TikTok is cool and it's fun, and like once you get up there, but once you get there, you're kind of like stagnant, and you either just are one of those famous Viners like back in the day, or you like branch out and start to do other things.
Yeah, because you definitely see it. You see people where it's like, you're like, you start to see it's like the follower count's the thing that I'm most interested in. And it's like, it's like something I always try to think of is like, do you want to be famous or do you want to be respected? That's what I always think about when in comedy, right?
Yeah.
And I think being respected in comedy is very important. You see certain people who are like, I just want to be famous. I want to have all these followers, all this stuff. Then their comedy's terrible.
Yeah.
Because they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're not focusing on like being good at stand-up or trying to like do that.
No, I feel you.
Man, we really gotten into it about comedy. I love this. This is so fun. All right. Man. Yeah, the first video I saw you was, I think it was the Not Like Us video with Kendrick Lamar. That was the first one I saw, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is actually
that
really
was one of my like recent, like, because once that sound came out, it was like all over.
Did you just know where you're like, oh, I could see it in my head. I know what the
Yeah.
dance is? Oh, okay.
Like for certain videos, it's like once I hear it, like the dances and stuff just pop into my head, and I can just like I don't have to sit there and like keep like I practice like if I need to like make a dance up, I'll sit there over and over again and like keep doing it. But those ones that hit like that, like I be sitting on the couch, I'm scrolling through TikTok, I hear that sound, I get up, I go straight to the bathroom.
Nice.
I'm in the bathroom, I lock the door, you know.
Oh, is that where you do your dancing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, because I feel like personally, like everybody is themselves in the bathroom. Like I like to say, like I dance how you guys dance in the shower when you're by yourselves.
That's
like,
actually
I have
holy
no,
shit. That's actually pretty. Yeah, I love how we're like, we're like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so you just, I feel no restrictions or anything in there. I can just like totally be myself. I don't have to worry about like nobody looking at me, and I'm very conceited. I like to look at myself in the mirror.
Well, you also have very good facial expressions. Like that was the thing where it was like when you were talking about you wanted to do stand up, I was like, well, that's also one thing that I noticed like very much about you was like you're very physical, and it's like, and that also in stand up can separate you from a lot of people. You know, there's a very famous comic, God rest his soul, Eric Myers. He was one of those comics who, you ever see him? Dude, he was so funny. He had this bit. He had like a pretty much like the same 15 minutes, but he could whip it out anywhere and it absolutely murder. Like I watched him at like 1 a.m. at the store in the main room with 15 people. You know, the last hour was people just like meandering around, crowd's tired. He came in and it was like 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Just high energy, just fucking delivering straight to these 12 people. And there's this thing about like if you have like good energy and you're giving it to these people, it's late at night. These 12 people can feel like thousands. Yeah. Especially if you, where it's like, I'd rather have 12 people that want to fucking laugh who are so down than 1,000 people who are like,
yeah, just being like mediocre. And that's what I've always said. Like, my brothers used to always say like, oh, like what if like you don't get as much like views and stuff anymore? And I'm like, that's the difference between like somebody that just wants to be famous and the creative mind. Like, I don't care if there's 5 people that love my content or there's 500 million people loving my content. It's just I make my content for people that like it. You know, I'm not making my content for people that don't fuck with it. Like if you don't want to like it, don't like it. But those 5 people, I'm not gonna stop giving them like that piece of me, like just because other people don't want it. Yeah,
that's got to be. Do you ever have to like? Do you handle like a lot of comics don't like reading the comments on YouTube where they don't like read the Reddit? Because let me tell you, if you Google some comic's name and type in Reddit at the end, you'll fucking be like, oh my God, I hope they never see these comments. I'm surprised they're fucking alive still. How do you handle that? Like, do you see it and then you're like, ugh, are you just like, fuck these strangers?
Yeah, like mostly it's like, I don't know you, dude. And especially if you're like, I'm 24 years old. I'm a grown man. And if you're like another grown man and you're like, oh, like, get a job, dude, or like, word like making comments on like my physical appearance, like the first thing I think is just like, why is another grown man worried about another grown man's body online? Like, or you're telling me not to dance, or like this grown man dances, I'd be like, are you online to see little kids dance? Like, why can't adults dance? Like, I don't understand,
what is this, fucking Footloose? Are you fucking not letting us dance? Come on.
So,
and also I think the TikTokers who dance and are good at dancing, because that's the thing is I always used to be like, there are TikTok blanks where it's like there's a TikTok comedian, there's a blah blah. Then there's like a person who uses TikTok as the platform. Where it's like you'll see people who are TikTok dancers, and you're like, oh, you're just like a couple who's like you're just a hot chick who learned to dance, right?
Yeah.
And then there's people who's like, oh, that is like a person who's done dance for 12 years, 15. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand like these new music videos you see coming out and stuff like that. Those dances are being made by like these 18, 19-year-olds that are on TikTok making like these little like stupid dances. But like my homeboy Exotic always tells me like our generation is instant gratification, you know, like 10, 15 years ago, you would have like a whole freaking ballroom choreographed dance in a music video and like Beyonce's and Shakira videos. But now it's just like you go to a music video and they're like, and it's just like over and over and over again, but everybody can do it. You know, those dances back in the day, not everybody could do it, only a certain group of people. Now they just want to make dances that like, you know, literally anybody can hop on there. And if you know the basic steps of the dance, then you could do it and you could just like
that does make sense too, because it's like as a fan watching like a Beyonce video, if I want to learn how to do the dance, it almost feels cooler. I mean, there were dances that you had songs that people knew the full dance to.
Yeah, like Cupid Shuffle, they told you what to do and stuff like that. Now it's like every song that comes out, they're gonna have a dance to it. And it's gonna be a recycled mixture of all these new dances that's been coming out since the fucking nay.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
All right, let's talk about how much money you get to make. No. So, all right, stand up. What? It was so funny the other day. You were just like, so how do you write a joke? And that shit made me laugh so hard when you said that, because it's also like, yeah, that's that it. And I wasn't laughing at you because it was like you asked like, how do you write a joke? It was just such a like. It was like the first time someone's just like, "Oh, how do you do this?" And it was just kind of like, "Oh man, do you really want to? You really want to? I'll answer it for you, but dog, it's gonna like this is a rabbit hole that you're gonna commit the next 50 years of your life to." You know?
Yeah.
It was like
I just really like remember being younger. Like my favorite things to watch were like In Living Color, like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Like, and I was a class clown. Like at a certain age, I only went to school to make people laugh. Like I would pass my classes and like play football so my dad like wouldn't get pissed off or whatever. Like I would do the bare necessity just so I can sit in that classroom with those 30 kids.
the bare necessity.
And,
I love it.
Like, what's
the
up,
bare necessity. That's so fucking funny. When you, all right, that's actually great. What was like? Do you remember like a moment in high school or school that you were like, oh, this is my first laugh? Like this is the first thing I said that everyone like laughed at, and you're like, oh shit, like that you like noticed and you remembered.
Yeah. I would have to say, and this might sound bad, but like so.
You're like I punched a teacher in the fucking face.
So like,
Hilarious.
I don't have a problem with authority,
Yeah.
but I have a problem with like authority that like overreaches their power and stuff like that. Like teachers, like screaming at kids, like telling them to shut up and like stuff like that in front of other kids. Like I don't think that's would be right. So like just fully naturally, I'm sitting there, I'm talking, I'm yapping in class, and the teacher like screams. She's like, "Shut up!" I'm like, "Oh, all right, yes, ma'am." So I be quiet, and all the kids are looking at me because they're expecting me to be like, "Oh, like Marcel, like he's gonna do something funny, he's gonna da da da." So I waited like 10 minutes, and then she was talking, and I just screamed, and I said, "Shut up!" And then everybody just was quiet, and then I stood up, and I said, "Now, how does that make you feel?" And the whole class, exactly like that, like the whole class just went crazy. And then I was sitting and I was standing up, and I was like, I think I might be him. I was so serious. I was like, how does that make, like, that doesn't feel good, does it? And then she was just like, get out, like, go to the office. And they called my dad, and my dad was like, what happened? I was like, she told me to shut up. So I told her to shut up. And my dad was like, oh, she shouldn't tell people to shut up. She can't take it, you know?
There's nothing I respect more than a dad being like, that's clean cut. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's so fucking funny. I remember I was in, it's sort of like, not like, nothing like that crazy, but I remember, what was it? Oh, fuck, I can't remember the exact moment. Oh, okay. Here, I'll tell you this instead. My little brother, he's autistic. Mm-hmm. He's like functioning autistic, right? And one time he was in class, and I think it was maybe like 5th grade, and everyone was going crazy, right? There's a bunch of children.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there trying to do his homework, and then the class going crazy, and then in all the chaos, he gets up and starts packing up his bag, and he starts to walk towards the door, and the teacher's like, "Where are you going?" And he turns and he looks at her and goes, "You've lost control of this classroom." He's like, "How am I supposed to learn how to do anything when all these kids are going crazy?" He's like, "I'm going to the library." And then he fucking walked to the library, and I was like, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Like, for a child to look at a teacher and be like, "You've lost control of this classroom."
What grade?
He was like 5th grade. He was young. He was still like very small. But that's where we're like, oh yeah, he's autistic.
And the funniest thing about it is that like, it's so dead ass. He's like, no, like I'm not like I'm leaving because you literally lost control. Like,
he's like, I'm trying to
handle it. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's hopefully things are better.
Oh my god. So you want to do stand up? Do you have any questions? Anything you want to? Any like
not like, I guess they're questions, but they're kind of, I guess, like stupid questions.
Not at all.
The
That's
stuff like,
it's perfect. This is literally I'm a stupid guy. So
like,
this is
when you go up there and you're talking to them, like you can't see them, right?
no, you can.
Okay.
It depends.
Like
Certain
lights?
places they can't. Certain places like the lights are super in your face. Like if you're doing a theater, you can probably see the first 2 rows of people, and that does fuck with you because you're like, the best way I could describe it is like you're in a batting cages, but you can't see when the pitch is coming, and then when you hit it, you can't see when it lands.
Oh,
so you're
just swinging.
You're just swinging, and then you have to wait, and then you hear the laughs start to hit you. Like it's a roar because the time from it's this weird thing. It's like we were talking about sunlight and space. It was like, it takes a certain amount of time for the sun for light to reach the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of same thing where it's like the laughs, it's sound. So it takes a little bit of time for it to travel to hit you. And then it's also like you got to wait for them to all get it. And then you also got to like wait for everybody to finish laughing. It's a weird thing of like.
So like you got to figure out the timing, even with not even just the punchlines and the setup, but letting them laugh and being like, okay, now come back in at this time.
Yeah. And that's just on the theater. And then there's also still just a whole different way of handling the situation when it's just in a regular club.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, don't step on the joke.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like you don't. So it's like you've worked really hard to write this joke, right? Mm-hmm. So you say the joke. Why would you cut it off or cut off the laughs, right? So it's like you got to let them. And a lot of people do that because they're nervous, because they're like, oh, I don't want. You're letting they're judging you. You're letting the joke be judged. So it's like, like if I cut them off quick, then it's like, all right, I got the laugh, and then I can leave.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you start to explore with, all right, no, let me take my time. Once you start to take your time on stage, it really starts to open up a lot of shit.
What did it feel like the first time?
What? Doing stand-up?
Like not doing stand-up, but like doing stand-up to where you thought like it was actually
you're like, oh,
like
I'm good.
Work. Yeah, like when you were up there, you're like, oh, this.
Well, it was actually yesterday. I was I was doing a set. No, you know what? I think it probably wasn't until they say it takes 10 years to find your voice, right?
In comedy?
Yeah,
that's a long time.
I know. It's a very long time. Yeah. But they also say it's like it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, right? Okay. TikTok's a little instant. But it's worth it, right? So like I had gotten on TV and then I had gotten passed at the store. But even then, like before I'd gotten passed at the store, I was working there for so long and I was there. And I remember one time Stuart Thompson saw me on stage and I got off and he goes, yeah, I just don't believe you. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I just don't believe that you think this place is yours yet. He was like, you still don't seem comfortable on stage. It still feels like you don't know if you belong here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, shit. And then once I started like getting over that and really like figuring out like my place in the store and in like the confidence in myself and stuff, that's when it was like I'd go up and I'd start being like, oh, okay, I know I have the jokes are like weapons, right? So it's like you have one joke, you're like, all right, I got a sword. You do another joke, you're like, all right, I got a shield. You know what I mean? Then you're like a little bit better every year, and then eventually you're just like, I can fuck these people up, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like you have you got a gun, it's got 6 bullets. You know the jokes, you know what you're gonna do, and you can take your time until you get to them, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like just different like little things like that take time, and then you figure it out.
So do a lot of comedians use the same jokes?
I know how to break it to you, dog. I'm about to ruin your life.
It?
Yeah. So most people, if you're good, you'll continuously be writing, and you'll constantly be trying to change everything you're doing every 1 to 2 years or 3 years. Everyone's different. Everyone's writing process is different. It's also like different when you're coming up because you're also trying to just at the beginning try to write just a good 5 minutes. And then you start to write a good 10 minutes. And you try to start a good 15 so you can host, and then you can do all these other things, right? And then there's this time when you're like, okay, now I got to start to figure out how to like write an hour, which is just the full act. Like
you have to be up there for a whole hour.
Yeah.
And you can't like no intermissions or breaks or anything?
But it takes a while to get to the point where you're the headliner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for a long time, you'll like host, you'll do 15. Sometimes you'll feature for people, or you do like 20, 25. Some people have a lot of openers where it's like everyone just does 10 minutes and then it's a lot easier, right? It all just kind of depends. But I forgot the question you had asked me. I'm so fucking high.
The crazy part is once you get an hour down, it's hard to do 5 minutes again.
Oh, yeah. Once you start getting used to doing longer sets and then you come to like LA, because Los Angeles is more of a showcase town. What that means, it's like smaller sets on bigger lineups with other people, and they want to see how you do in like 5 minutes, right? And then that's one of those things of like, I want to know everything about you in 5 minutes. Like if I'm a booker, they're like, your 5 minute set has to tell me something about you. It's got to be funny, blah, 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 right? That's usually what they want. Okay. After 10 years, you're kind of like, all right, here are the fucking jokes. You can either put me on the festival or not.
Yeah.
Now, I've done like a couple like I was telling you, like at the Nate Jacksons and stuff like that.
Oh, Nate Jackson's great. Shout out Nate Jackson.
Yes,
Me and
love
Zach
Nate Jackson.
Waxenberg. Hey, same manager.
But yeah, I did pretty good. I think it was just because it was all other comedians. It wasn't no like people like that were going there to like watch.
So here's the fun thing about people just starting out. I love watching when people just start out because there's this beauty of watching. It's like watching a child walk because you're like, you don't know how you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You have this idea, this concept, right? And then you're kind of just trying. And it's so funny because that is actually the purest and most beautiful form of comedy because that's what every big comic is essentially chasing is that first moment of like, you know, you don't know all the rules to stand up yet. So you can kind of just do whatever you think it is. And then the more you do it, the more you start to learn all these rules, all these things, and all these philosophies. And then not that it hinders your comedy, but it kind of like focuses it, right?
Yeah.
But it's
puts
like
it in a box.
Yeah.
So it's not so dramatic.
But then there is that point where you're still trying to get to where you're like, oh, I can just kind of do anything and be anything, say anything. And you just like, I don't know, I just play it.
Because you still kind of like got to find your niche in comedy?
I wouldn't say niche. You just got to find yourself. You got to find your voice.
Okay.
Yeah. And then your niche will find you.
Okay.
I always think if you're just focusing on being good at comedy, if you focus on just being good at comedy and you work at that a lot, everything else will just fall in place. Also, you're in a lucky place where it's like a lot of the comics that start are like sleeping on other people's couches or they're like fucking poor shit or they work another job. You know what I mean? Like, here's the good thing about where you're at is all you have is time. All you need is a pen and paper, and then to just go to the spots, and then do them, right?
Yeah, no, my goal is to go. I'm gonna start going like on the weekends, every weekend out here to the couple of the open mic nights. And I met a couple of like the local comedians and stuff like that. So they said they'll be down to like ride with me. And
of course, yeah. Be nice to them. If any of them ask you if you want to write, they're probably trying to fuck. So
there was one comic, you know, well, he's an old school comic, old school YouTube guy, Chingo Bling, right? And the way he started in stand up was once he got 15 minutes, he would take really good comics on the road and he would open up, and then he'd put those 4 comics on.
So that's what I was saying with you is. Some people don't want to do this because they're not fucking humble, and you know who you are. So what a lot of the thing is with comedy too, especially now, is a lot of people have very, very hard feelings and opinions about TikTokers coming into stand-up, right? Anyone with a big following coming into stand-up.
Yeah.
They're like, they're taking our jobs, whatever, right? I'm of the mindset that it's like, no matter what, everyone deserves a chance at this.
Yeah.
Whatever it be, let them fail on their own. But if they're good at it, then let them be good at it, right? Because I wasn't good at stand up when I started. I was so fucking bad. You can ask anybody. Frank was terrible at stand up. I was great at roasting. I was good at writing a joke. And then once I learned all that, I started getting better at stand up, and I focused on stand up. And then you can ask anybody. I'm way better at stand up. I progressed because it was like, you know, I just kept my head down and just focused on that because my dad works at Safeway. You know what I mean? Yeah, my mom.
There's a Safeway here?
Not here in California. Hilarious. My mom was like worked a juvenile facility officer. Like she's, like I don't have any family in like the industry. You know, my mom wasn't the fucking first chick on SNL. You know what I mean? Like it's like, everything I've ever had to get was because of myself and from comics who believed in me. So that's the other cool thing is like if you come into this, one, you're nice, respectful to everybody. And you're just a cool hang, people will like you, and people will be like, "All right, this is a cool dude to rock with." And then if they see you working hard and trying, no one's gonna knock a guy that's trying.
Yeah.
Anyone that does knock people that are trying, I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, they're just miserable.
Yeah,
to be honest. You're just mad because you don't have like enough courage to try yourself.
Or it's like a lot of people feel threatened, especially in the open mics. You know, it's a lot of like weird bitterness. And trust me, I mean, we talk about it a lot. But so it's like if you're gonna go do it. But be nice to everybody, and then just work hard. Everything else will come.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely excited to like open up that new path because like I've done music for a long time, like not a long time, but like I've always been in music. Like I dropped out of like football, so I can join like drama and like honors choir and shit.
Holy
like
shit.
That. Like,
This dude's a fucking triple threat. Actually, maybe you know what? Maybe you shouldn't do open mics. Maybe you should. It's fucking 3 years from now. He's selling out Madison Square Garden. We're still here. I'm like, fuck.
No, but I've always just like I want to challenge myself because I know that like because of the work that I do on TikTok, I barely even talk on TikTok. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't even know
What
what my voice sounds like. And
Oh,
stuff
wow.
like
That's
that. So
interesting.
I'm excited to see like the challenges that is going to come with transitioning into like, okay, I'm going to still be goofy and move around and like the facial expressions and stuff like that, but I'm not going to be up here like dancing to your guys' favorite
Here's the
music
best part is if you start bombing, you can just have this DJ play a song and then you can just fucking like, bah, 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 and everyone's like, wow. But so it's like the advice I'd give to you is, you know, work on the 5, 10, 15. Meet comics that you like. Like when you go out and you see comics, and you will, if there's a dude you're like, oh, this guy's fucking funny, bring him out. If you're already making money, I would think of it as you're investing in your career and how better you're going to get. So it's like, if you can sell tickets and you do a one-nighter and it sells out, just focus on putting on a good show. So like host it, do 5 up top, talk to them, learn. I mean, treat it like an open mic, you know, learn how to like do it, throw on a good show, get a DJ, you know, and bring out good comics, right? Go up in between them, fuck around. You'll create an amazing show. Everyone will be like, that was amazing. That was so cool. It was so cool to see him do stand-up, right? And it's also the pressure's off of you to do a bunch of time, right?
Yeah.
And everyone gets to see you. One, they just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about the audience. And then you could just layer everything else on. Because the big thing is, if you were to headline out the gate, people come see you once. They'll buy tickets once, and then they'll never buy tickets again. Yeah, that's the thing we've seen multiple times with like people from Vine, people from Snapchat and stuff. But if you come at it where you're like, I have good material and I have a lineup of very funny comics, people are like, yeah, dude, when's the next one? I want to come back. There's a monthly. Let's fucking keep doing this. And then before you know it, then it's like, oh yeah, we could go on the road. And then it's like, no, now we're gonna do a YouTube channel. Now we can do our own podcast. Now we got these comics. Now you're building something, right? And now you're going on the road. You're eating food. You're doing all the cool shit, you know, like all the other TikTok stuff. I love food too, man. I love food too. But it also you'll have just that extra thing on all these other TikTokers, right? Because it's something to be. I've been at the store and I've seen.
What is the store?
The store is a comedy store. It's it's a comedy club in Los Angeles. It's one of the most famous comedy clubs in the history of comedy. It's
I
like
thought you was talking about like an AMP.
hilarious. That's so fucking funny, dude. He's like, who the fuck's Mitzi? Is that the cashier? But yeah, it's the comedy store. It's one of the only places where you could show up at the open mic. If they like you, they'll give you a job, which is basically working the door, which is a nightclub job and cleaning up shit and stuff. But you get spots and you get the shirt, which is like getting validated in comedy. It's like Harvard. And then you get spots, people see you, you get to meet all these big guys. And that's kind of like how people get into the system, right? Like I've worked there for 8 years. I met everybody. I met Chappelle, I met Burr, I met Jim Carrey, I met fucking Robin Williams before he passed away. I met everybody. I got to meet all my heroes.
And they take you on the road.
Some of them took me on the road, Jeselnik, yeah, everybody. But it was all checking IDs, taking out the trash. But it's just people see someone cutting their teeth, they're more inclined to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's why like
some people
I don't want to be like, you know,
Pay your dues.
Yeah. That's why for me, when I think of myself in comedy, I'm not trying to say like I'm highly respected in this, but people have seen me cut my teeth. People have seen me pay my dues. So when they see you do that, there's this like respect.
They're more inclined to
yeah,
and stuff like that. So, and a lot of these people, like from my side, like the TikTokers and stuff, like they're just coming over and like expecting it because of the following that they do have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
and you'll see entitlement to and stand up to, and then you'll see them go up and they'll fucking bomb their dicks off. Fucking terrible.
But they'll have one joke that works and they'll be like, I killed.
Yeah, and then they cut it and then they put it online and then millions of views. But it's funny because, you know, I'll tell this story. This is one of my favorite stories. So there was a Vine guy at the Comedy Store and he was in the scene, right? And then at the store, we host an open mic. And it's everybody in LA. It's all the dredges of society. Like it's a mix of like homeless people working regular jobs, trying to chase a dream, trust fund kids, hobbyists, you know, and then, you know.
That's like every function in LA.
Yeah, exactly. And like TikTok people or whatever, right? And then I remember this guy, it was like the week after Vine closed. I'll just say his name. His name's Rydoon. Very sweet guy. So cool. Doesn't do comedy now. He went up on the open mic and he was just doing stand up and he was talking about like the nice apartment he has and his girlfriend and how like TikTok's closing and all this stuff. And he was just trying to like relate to a room full of poor people who don't have you know what I mean? Who sleep in their cars.
Oh god.
So one of the guys, open mic legend, his name's Jeff Carasalis. He was like, you remember that show on HBO called Generation Kill?
No.
It was a military doc. It was called Generation Kill, if you want to pull it up. It was just followed a platoon, I think, during Desert Storm. Let me double check. Generation Kill. Yeah, so, yeah, it was one of the first Skarsgård's brothers was in it. But, yeah, so...
Oh, that's the dude from True Blood.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the dude from True Blood. Yeah, it's a great show. But he was a consultant on that because this was based off his platoon.
Oh, so he was like actually in the army and stuff?
Yeah. So one of the jokes we always used to tell at the open mics was that he'd always tell a joke about how he killed kids in the Middle East and no one would laugh because we realized it was real. He was a crazy guy. Yeah, wild. Yeah. So he was doing open mics and he would it was fucking nuts, dude. He'd be like, you don't know what being a man is. You've never killed a child in another country. We're like, all right, dude, chill, you know? Anyways.
American hero.
Yeah. So it's the open mic, right? Rydoon's on stage trying to be relatable to a bunch of poor kids at an open mic. Jeff Carasalis, a former military guy, clearly trying to chase dreams, watching this guy. And in the middle of it, he just goes, get him off stage! Just starts screaming at him. Just fucking letting him have it. And then all of a sudden, the whole room starts just shitting on Rydoon. They're just like, fine, like just all just shitting on him, right? And he's like in shock. He doesn't know what to do. He's just like, right. And then I'm hosting. So I go, hey, everybody. And then like I quiet it down. I'm like, everybody, stop. Everyone chill. He's not used to being funnier. Or he's not used to being funnier than like, in 30 seconds and spritz or whatever the time for Vine was, right? He's not used to being that funny for
6 seconds.
Yeah, he's not. I think it was like, he's not used to being funnier than 6 seconds, right? And it crushed. Everyone laughs, right? And you see Rye just on stage and he just puts the mic back in the stand and then he just gets off stage and then he sits in the back and then like we just continue the mic and then he eventually leaves and like we all felt I felt bad, but it was also like,
It's true though.
Right, it was rough. And
after
then
15 seconds, my dance moves start to recycle. After 15 seconds, I'm like, no, I can't think of another one.
But so like years later, I run into him again. And he's like, hey, man, blah, blah, we're shooting shit. And then he goes, man, you remember that one time at the store, like late at night when everyone was like yelling at me? He's like, it took me like a while to that really like kind of fucked with me. And he was like, and then I realized that's just kind of how the store is. Like, they're just like, they heckle you and that's kind of how you get in. And that's kind of like the vibe. And I go, oh, no, man, they hated you. They all hated you. That's crazy, dog. That was you.
Like, no, I don't think you're in.
No, man, they weren't hazy at all, dog. Yeah, oh God, he probably hates that I tell that story.
He'll remember that for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I felt
the feeling of when they all laughed.
Yeah, for not a good reason. Yeah, it's so it's ruthless in Los Angeles. It's good to start out here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna do that to you out of here.
Some clubs they might.
yeah, some clubs they might. Oh, that's so fucking funny. All right, cool, sweet, man. That went by so quick. Before we get into any of these questions, is there anything else you want to ask me?
What's the biggest animal you think you can take barehanded?
That's hilarious. Biggest animal?
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me that thinks I can fight a kangaroo.
Tripping.
Not a full grown one, but like maybe a teen, right? I feel like I could fuck up a lot of infant versions of animals.
Yeah, that's kind of mean though.
Yeah, I know, obviously, but
they have to be an adult.
Ah, fuck. All right, no. You just see me fighting a baby elephant. It would whoop my ass actually if you think about it. It's got me in a rear naked chokehold. God, I feel because then you even think about deer and shit, and they would fuck you up too.
Yeah.
Any kind of primate still stronger than you. They don't quite know. It's interesting. I mean, this is getting off the topic, but I'm going to answer your question. You know what's funny about gorilla enclosures at zoos? They don't know if they can keep them in.
What do you mean by that?
Every time you go to a zoo and there's like a cage for a gorilla or an enclosure, they don't know if that's strong enough to hold it. It's just like a guess. It's an estimate. Gorillas get out of that stuff all the time
until they get out. And they're like,
yeah,
we gotta update this.
Yeah, or they're like, we think this is how far it can jump, right? And then there's one day it's just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get out, and then they just get out, and they're like, oh shit. There's actually, you can look it up. There's a famous New York incident. There's a photograph of a gorilla sitting at a New York bus stop,
just
chilling, because people thought it was fake, and it had escaped.
How did it know to go to the bus stop?
I was trying to get to the subway.
No, that's not. That's the top one. Obviously is fake, but the bottom one's real. That top one's.
The trench coat is crazy.
Yeah, the trench coat's crazy. Yeah, that's not real, but the one on the bottom is. That's so funny. All right.
I think I could take a ram. Like a goat ram.
No, I could maybe fight a goat, but even regular sized goats will take you the fuck down. Dude, I remember.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna go with tortoise.
You could definitely fight a tortoise.
Yeah,
and they're big.
Bullying.
Yeah. But even then, it's like,
big.
But are you outside or are you in the water?
Oh, if you're in the water, you're
I'm out of the water. Yeah. Oh, a sea tortoise? I'll fuck a sea tortoise up.
You're just trying to drown him. Yeah. So me and my wife went.
Straws.
He's like, you trying to do cocaine? What's going on? So me and my wife went to a fairground in Los Angeles. It was the LA County Fair, and they had the petting zoo, right? And
those places always stink so bad.
Terrible, right? It was the first time, we had some money. So we dropped like $80 on fucking goat feed, right? And I was giving it to people, and then so I had like 6 fucking things in my hand. I'm feeding all these goats.
A quick question: am I allowed to hit my smacker in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. We've been vaping. Yeah. Smacker. Is that what it's called, or is that like slang?
That's what we call it.
Man, I'm getting old.
We call it a smacker because if you hit it too hard, if you get like lightheaded, feel like somebody smacks you. So we call it the smacker.
Oh my god! All right, so we're at this petting zoo, and these goats are so fucking aggressive. Like, they're jumping on you, they're pushing you down. I watched a kid get absolutely taken down. Like, his dad handed him a cup of feed, and the goat just fucking whoom, and he had to like pick him up out of the full like. It was crazy. And then we get outside, and the kid's covered in shit from head to toe, and the dad's like washing him, and the kid's looking at his dad, and he's just like, "Why would you let that happen to me?" He's like, "I'm small." He's like, "We're all the same size. Why would you do that?" He was like, "That goat was raping me. You didn't hear me." And the kid said that, and I was like, "That's crazy." That kid used that word.
The kid actually.
The kid used the word. He goes, "I swear to God." He looked at his dad. He goes, "You didn't hear me getting raped out there?" And we're leaving, and the kid's telling other people as we're leaving. He goes, "Careful, those goats." He's like, "Those goats will rape."
Those goats should be on the list,
dude. I was laughing so hard because I was like, "That's crazy." That kid knows what that word is.
No, I've always thought that the animals at the petting zoos are getting too comfortable.
Oh,
because we're like pampering them, But these are still wild animals, bro. Like,
absolutely.
Like, they think they can just get away with hella shit. That's not true. You guys still get punished.
Man, these goats out of pocket. Right? He's funny.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing is like, usually when people are like, "I want to do stand up," and you're like, "Ugh," and then like we hung out, and you said like, I can't remember what it was you said, but I remember you said something when we were sitting down, and I looked at him, and I was like, "Yeah, this is gonna be the funnest episode ever."
It was something about, I didn't know what something was, or I thought something was something else.
It was.
And you said, "Oh, my homeboy did that one time."
Oh, was it the? I can't remember. I remember explaining the space and looking back. When you look at the stars, you're looking into the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I said, so when you go to the moon, are the people, like when they fly to the moon, they're going back in time. Or they're going into the future, whichever way.
And then, and then I was explaining that the people on Earth age faster than the people traveling in space, right? Is that the theory?
By seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
By seconds?
Yeah. It's not a lot of time.
In the movies, though, they're like
Buzz Lightyear.
years.
Well, yeah. Well, if you're going light speed, then yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. God, we're such nerds. All right. Let's get into these questions. My wife wrote these. She's a therapist, so we're going to go ahead and learn a lot about you. How do you feel about blackface? No. Hold on. Let me find the right ones.
I got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So I saw a documentary on TikTok dancers, how this church or corporation. Have you been approached by any churches or corporations?
No, not at all. I think it's probably because the niche of music I dance to.
Yeah.
It's not really on that level, but like the people that are like dancing to like that mainstream music.
Yeah.
Like we knew a couple of the influencers that was in the documentary.
Oh my
so, like,
God,
some of the
really?
dancers and shit like
Fuck
that,
the questions. Talk about that.
So me and Kenna,
Uh-huh.
she's another influencer dancer and stuff like that. She's like my best friend on the app or whatever. And we just knew like it was a girl and a dude that was like part of it. Like they like their managers or whatever wouldn't let them like speak on it, or like they were like taking like 90% of like their money and everything. It was like making them like push this certain like agenda, and it like it like turned into like this cult type thing where like they didn't have like even like their parents, like some of them were under the age of 18 and stuff, and like their parents were like signing contracts for them to like give away like their ownerships over like their videos and stuff like that. And it
That's
was like
fucking wild.
crazy. Have you seen the Mormon moms?
Absolutely. The Mormon moms who swing? Yeah, that shit's fucking insane.
That's my shit on YouTube. Dude, watching that, I think it's hilarious because a lot of people think like because of like whatever thing you go by, religion, nationality, culture, or whatever, like there's not freaks out here. Like there's freaks everywhere. They get mad freaky, dog. And the Mormons, you didn't think they were doing that over there?
Of
And
course,
they were bad.
dog. Yeah. And they were bad. Yeah.
No,
That's the
they
thing
were
about Mormonism. Like my son, great comic, he talked about when he went to Salt Lake City, it's literally all the hottest chicks from all the different cultures that they recruit to be Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
They all go, those are the ones that go out and recruit other people. Because it's like, you'll be chilling around in Salt Lake City and then some hot fucking, Italian chicks like, do you like Jesus? And then you're like, yeah. And then like, you like multiple
Mormons
wives?
believe in Jesus?
So yeah, it's like new Jesus. It's like American Jesus.
Like he lives in Denver and shit? No, which one is that? Is that the Mormons? And he lives in like he has like a gold palace.
There's
like
a gold
man-
palace.
There,
Yes.
so Mormonism's
His name's like David or something.
Yeah, they believe that there was like, so there's the New Testament, or there's the Old Testament, New Testament. They believe in like this third testament, which is like the American Testament, which is that like Joseph Smith, which is like the next prophet. He was the one that found a bunch of other like their versions of the Ten Commandments and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, you should really like look into it. It's fucking fascinating. South Park makes a really good episode about it, and it's all like pretty spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild. And yeah, so they believe in like a new Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is he still alive though?
They
Like,
they
the Jesus
killed
they
that
believe in?
fucking dude.
That Jesus came to Utah
Yeah.
when he died. That was one of the places he visited.
Oh.
That was
Yeah.
Like the old Jesus?
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah,
new
when
one?
he
Yeah.
died for those 3 days,
Yeah.
one of the places he went to was Utah.
Just to like chill.
Yeah,
guess.
just to chill. He loved Utah. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He loved the jazz. Yeah, it's odd. They also believe in magical underwear. I don't know if you know that.
Like chastity belts?
No, like it's flame retardant, stops knives and bullets.
What?
They're
They're-
undergarments.
Who's shooting their junk? Why do they need
Well,
bulletproof drones?
I don't know how to break this to you, but back in the day, they weren't big fans of Mormons. They used to kill them a lot.
Oh.
Joseph Smith got chased out of the city he was in, and then they murdered him. Joseph Smith was like their prophet.
That's their underwear.
Oh, they got the same.
Man, this is so fun teaching them all about this.
They are they allowed to wear like Hanes? Or, like, like are they allowed to stray from this?
They're not allowed to drink coffee, so I don't think they're allowed to wear name brand products.
That's what's crazy.
And I
They're-
thought they wasn't allowed to use electricity.
No.
And then all the
That's
moms got
Amish.
TikToks.
That's
Amish. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Amish.
They're doing all that freaky shit sober too. That's the crazy part.
Damn, that is
The
pretty
Mormons,
wild.
They don't drink?
They can't drink. No caffeine.
So
none
they're
of that.
swinging
They're deaf.
cold turkey?
If they're
That's-
swinging, they're drinking.
No, not these ones. All right.
What?
All right, so let's get into some of these questions. What are some of your biggest irrational fears?
Biggest irrational fears?
Yeah.
Like the darkness. Like just pitch black darkness. You know, like the shadows that are in when it's nighttime and then the moon casts the shadow?
Yeah.
Those shadows, I do not go into those. Because I think there's something like a entity or something
Yeah, yeah.
there. And big bodies of water.
Really big bodies of water trip you out?
Like the ocean. Like you ever just stand on the beach and like
Yeah.
look out there and think, bro, there could be like a fucking whale just like right there just swimming and we don't even know. Like there's so like I just don't like the unknown.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so dog. There could be a whale over there. That's so
Just
fucking
chilling, doing
Yeah.
backflips in the water.
Oh, sorry. Now that I want to ask more questions, but also you're from Tacoma. Do you know about Mr. Hands?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know about Mr. Hands? Do not Google Mr. Hands. Do not Google Mr. Hands. So Mr. Hands, you can Google. I think it's called not Zootopia. There's a. Oh God! All right, put the camera off the thing and then Google Mr. Hands.
Yeah, it's not.
So okay, cool. So Mr. Hands is a guy in Tacoma. I think it's Zoophile. Yeah, this is it. So he was a guy in Tacoma. He got fucked by a horse. And died.
Oh,
yeah, and it was in
this is like
it's in a city kind of near Tacoma is where it happened, and so the whole thing that happens, he dies, everyone finds out, and then they kind of realize there's no laws against bestiality in Tacoma, so then they
we do know about him.
Yeah, so they did a law, and then everyone got pretty upset because apparently there's a big community of people that fuck animals out there. So then I don't know if they repealed it, but yeah,
there's a big community where
of it in like
Washington.
Yeah. Of people that fuck animals. That's what the documentary is about.
They have his video of when he died, right?
Yeah.
Of the
horse fucking him and then he died.
Yeah, the horse only put it in one time and then everything came out.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to comedy, dog.
The man died from impalement.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like
so one of the cities wait, is it you something. There's a small town near Washington, and I just know that the center of the town, the statue is a man riding a horse, and that was the city that it happened in.
Yeah, probably.
Enumclaw.
Yeah, that's like they got a lot of horses and bulls and shit. And sheep. It's like all land. Out there.
Yeah. So that's where it happened. Enumclaw. Yeah. So
I used there was this girl from Enumclaw. She was weird. She was like really about her animals.
Did she have a horse face?
No, she didn't have a horse face, but she was just really about her animals.
Oh yeah, she was.
I was like, oh okay.
Yeah, they're all like that out there. All right, so so you have heard about that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know his name was Mr. Hands. We just called him that dude. Like, we were like, remember that dude that did that?
So when I went, I did stand up in that city, and then in Enumclaw.
Oh
yeah. So and I had yeah. So I did a joke. I have a joke about my cats licking my nipples. It's a whole stupid bit. Anyways, they all kind of were like, and then I was like, oh, is this more of a horse fucking crowd? And they all lost their minds. They went crazy because I knew what it was. And I was like, I know what it is. I was like, you don't think it's hysterical that you have a fucking horse statue as your fucking? And everyone was like losing it. And then a lady came up to me afterwards and she goes, I knew the guy. She was like, my daughter went to school with his daughter. And then, it was something like they knew each other, right? And then, someone was saying that their high school was rivals with the high school that like his kid went to or whatever. So like when they would do high school football games against the team, they'd be like, we don't fuck horses. You know what I mean? They like, it was a whole thing. There was like chants and stuff. It was wild.
No, in Enumclaw, when we used to play Little League out there, their crowds have like cowbells. And they would just sit there like, Enumclaw, like reading the cowbells. My dad was like, after the game, my dad was like, get straight in the car.
He's like, you guys want to meet my horse?
I was like, nah, brother.
He's like, this horse has a name. It's Bethany. All right. What is a behavior what is a behavior you have that you know is toxic but still do?
I like to I like to lie. Not like lie like about big things, but like little things.
Yeah, white lies.
Yeah, like just to like piss people off, you know? Like not even just like in relationships with like girlfriends, like anybody.
Yeah.
Like my homeboy, like we'll be in the game, you know, and he'd be like, ready up, you know, and I'd be like, I did. And I just didn't. And I'd be like in the bathroom, like taking a shit or something on the Discord. Yeah. And I'd be like, no, I'm there. I swear to God, you know, it's just, but I enjoy it though. Like, and I enjoy it to the point to where like, even if they know that I'm lying and they keep feeding into it, then it just like really, I feel like the toxic man.
Oh, you're going to love comedy. You guys, guess what? You can lie to them the whole time. That's also the best part. Sometimes you'll say something, then they can't tell if you're true, and you just be like, nah, I'm just fucking with you. And then it's also just like, because that's, especially with the joke that I do now, there's this fun thing that you start to learn where you start to feel like you're like, oh, I've got you. Like I have you invested. And then you'll start to see that. And then it's the old bait and switch, right?
Yeah.
And there's also something so simple but so fun about that, where you're like, you got them, and then you fucking trick them, and then you're like, boom, and it's like a magic trick. And then even then, they're like, they're like, fuck, it's good. All right. What was something you did as a kid / teen that still haunts you? That's cringy.
I did the like the party rock phase.
What's the party rock phase?
Party rocking in a house tonight.
What's
like the shuffling, and they would wear like skinny jean, like cheetah print pants, and like weird shirts and shit like
But
that.
it's funny. Look, I look at you and I think you can pull that off.
I did pull it off.
Yeah, like you look like a Rugrats character come to life.
But
like
I
you
was
are
like,
you
I
can pull
was
weird
about
shit.
it though.
Yeah.
Like I was like in the middle of the mall, like with headphones on, just shuffling. It was just, and then I got like older,
Yeah.
and then I realized like,
Those
yeah,
guys.
like this right here, this is when I like wanted to become a dancer. I used to like dance to like dubstep and shit in my room,
Yeah.
and like sit there and try to like vibrate to the beats and shit like that. This was definitely it. But whenever like one of my brothers would walk into the room and I was sitting there like vibrating, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, no, just stretching.
That's got. That's also got to be so funny to have a roommate and you see him walk in on you like practicing a dance.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh no, I'm just done. No, I just so
Like when I first started, I was at like the bar. I used to be a cook at a bar.
yeah.
And I would like go into the bathroom, like I would cook all the meals, and like I'd be like, oh yeah, I got like 5-10 minutes. Go into the bathroom, lock the door, but sometimes I'd forget to lock the door, and I'd be in there like mid dance, and I do like a lot of weird dances, like gyrating stuff and stuff like that, like turnarounds and shit. So I was like had my back turned, and I hit like one of these like, and as soon as I did, this old dude like opened the door. And instead of him like being like, "Oh my bad," he kind of just opened it and then stared at me like with the utmost disappointment. He was just like,
It's like
I
fun.
was like, "Oh my bad." And I was like, "Do you need to use it?" He was like, "Ugh," and just walked away. And I finished the video and stuff, and I was like, I never even seen him go to the bathroom. I feel like he was waiting for me to go into the bathroom from the kitchen because I would do it like 20 times a day.
He's like, I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
He's in here dancing.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be so funny too. Is like just be like a dad and know that that's also a thing that can happen now. Like your biggest fear, you walk in your kid and you're like, he's a TikToker. And you're like, I was hoping he was gay. That's so fucking
You used
funny.
to do them in the alley too, or behind the restaurant.
Behind the bar.
Is
yeah,
that when you
behind the
switched
restaurant.
after they caught you? You're like, I'm gonna go behind the.
Well, I started like because I would wear my apron.
Damn, you're an OG fan, bro.
I saw one of his first ones.
Hell
yeah.
But I would wear an apron, and then people were being like little fucking bitches online, being like, "Yeah, it's a food code. You can't wear your apron in the restroom." But I would always like, I would have a separate apron because the apron that I would use in the kitchen
Would be dirty.
Yeah, so I would put on a fresh apron, go in there, do the dance, come right out, take that apron off,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then like switch them out and stuff like that. So then
You're like, I didn't wash
people-
my hands the whole time, but still, like, I don't understand what the fucking problem is.
But people were just like tripping, so I started to go to the back. But then there was like a camera,
Yeah.
and the owner seen one of my videos online, and not the owner like he wasn't like racist,
Yeah.
I would say, but he just said like he didn't want like we wasn't allowed to play like black music
Yeah,
on
yeah.
like the jukebox, or
Yeah.
like there was no like R&B.
It was
or, like-
racist. Yeah,
it was
yeah,
that,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but, like,
He's like,
black
I'm not
people could come
racist.
in,
I
you
just
know?
don't like
He's like
their
none of the-
culture.
I like good music.
Yeah.
So
He was like, I like good white boys like you. You know what I mean? You're like,
no, exactly. I'm like, nah, brother. I'm mixed, I think. But no, he like called and was like, because people kept calling the bar and was like, oh, can I come in for the B-sale special? Like hundreds of times a day. And I was like, I would have to make videos like, dude, stop calling my job. Like, like, because I was like, I worked at a bar and I was like 21.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, like any of my fans like want to come and take a shot. Like if anybody's in Tacoma, like pull up. And then after I did that, it was just like over. And then they were like, you can't even record in here. And then
which
that's
is
when it became
so
better.
fucking funny to me too, because it's like if you're an owner of a business, why wouldn't you embrace that?
I was like, dude, I could promo for you. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah, it
He's
was
like,
like
we got
that.
our customers. I was like, okay.
Yeah, your regulars. Yeah, yeah.
Regulars.
They're like we don't want any of that light skinnedness here. That's so fucking
I think
ridiculous.
the one I was laughing at the most, there was a guy behind you throwing away trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's just looking at you like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I
He
just
don't
couldn't
even, yeah.
stop.
And where's he now?
No.
Throwing
yeah.
away trash.
Still taking out trash. He's just trying to dance too, and he's like, "Fuck."
No, I remember the day I left that job. Like,
Did you dance out? Sorry. You start moonwalking?
No, but another creator had hit me up and was like, you can like get paid.
Yeah.
Like for the dances. And I was like, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, just next time somebody hits you up and asks you to do a dance, just tell them like $200, $300, and they'll do it, bro. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. So I did it that night while I was at like working at the bar, and I was sitting there, I had like sink full of dishes. I had like 20 orders backed up, and I'm sitting there just sending these text messages out. And then like within like 2 hours, I made like 2,500, like 3 bands.
And you're like, fuck
I was like,
this.
fuck this, you know?
Yeah.
And then that same night, Kang, shout out Kang, he's the Future Kings. He had called me and was like, bro, do you want to, we'll fly you out to Vegas and you can come perform. Like, come up on the stage, because I did a dance to a song and broke one of his records. And I was like, all right. So I asked my boss. My boss was like, nah. I was like, dude, I felt like I was in like a movie. I was like, dude, I got this opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, just let me go for a couple days. I'll come back. Like, even if I make bread, I'll cut you off a piece for like taking a couple of my shifts or whatever. He was like, no. I was like, okay, bet.
And then you're like,
I just left that night.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
like,
book the ticket.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, because and that's the thing is, there's people who, regardless of whatever it is, people will see that moment and they're just like, well, I guess I just got to stay and work. And there's people who are like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna take a chance.
I left that night. I turned off all the ovens and the fryers, and I just left. I didn't even clean up anything.
Of course not. Why would you?
I didn't.
Fuck
And then I
that,
came
dog.
back like 3 months after, and I went in there because I had left my check there, and I needed my W-2s. And I walked in there, and I did not think they were going to give it to me. And I went
They
in there,
legally have to.
yeah, I went in there, and they were like, they're like one of like my biggest fans now.
Of
Like,
course.
Like they do like, they let me do like little events and
Of
shit.
course.
There, like karaoke nights.
Like,
I love karaoke.
There's this weird thing of like, where you start will never fuck with you until you're huge.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest thing. And it's a lot of it is just because they see you in the first time they ever see. They always think of you as that. And it's not until you've been, and then they're like, oh, and then the narrative in their head changes.
Yeah. Especially in like Tacoma. Like,
Yeah.
I know they're like, we're on the West Coast and stuff, but like being an influencer, like a YouTuber or any type of like entertainment and stuff like that is not like up over there. You know, like they're want to scam and sell drugs and gangbang and shit up there, like to the max. Like,
fuck
so
horses.
when they seen me, oh God. So when they see me, it was always like, oh, the square dude or like the lame dude dancing and then like my homeboys were like, bro, my bitch won't stop watching you, nigga. Like, she keeps watching your videos at night. And
Yeah, killing these dances.
Oh, God. So eventually, like, when I walk around in Tacoma and I'm popping shit in Tacoma, like, I get nothing but love now.
That's great.
Like, 2 years ago, it was like, I was like that TikTok dude from Tacoma that was like doing weird shit. But now it's like they love my music out there. When I'm gonna do like my merch drop and shit like that. Like all the clothes and shit I do is gonna be for like the Pacific Northwest.
That's
like
so
hoodies
cool.
and
Yeah.
jackets
Is
and
that
shit
your
like
merch?
that. Huh?
Is that your merch?
No.
okay.
This isn't.
That's just fly shit, dog.
No, that's
Well, yeah, no, I feel that.
no, but shout out this though. This Surf's Up and then Certified on.
Oh,
here,
Certified is
right
great. And Surf's Up. All right, cool. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Shout out my homeboy Kev for picking me up in Warzone last night. That was hella clutch. Shout out my mom. I love you, Mom. Shout out my dad. Love my kids. Smooches. I can't wait to see you guys again. And yeah, shout out Whataburger for the patty melt.
Oh my God, dude, I'm so excited to see what happens with you. And please stick with it. Please keep doing it. Hit me up for anything. You're a real cool hang, man. All right, thank you so much. Have a good one. That was a very fun episode.